Since the US and Israel launched joint strikes on February 28, the conflict has already cost Washington about $12 billion, according to Kevin Hassett, director of the White House National Economic Council.
The latest number, you said 11.3, the latest number I was briefed on was 12, and so it's consistent. So this is something that we've got the weapons that we've already got in place to do this. The 12 billion was what I was briefed has been spent so far.
But that number only tells part of the story, because the real price of the war is not just the money spent on bombs and missiles, it's also the human cost, the economic impact, and the strategic risks that are now starting to unfold. So, what exactly is the price of the US Israel war on Iran for the United States? Let's break it down. First, the financial cost. According to the White House, the US has spent around $12 billion so far on the war. That includes military operations, deployments, and munitions used in the air campaign against Iran. In fact, more than $5 billion worth of munitions were reportedly used in just the first week of the strikes, and the bill could rise much further. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has warned that the bombardment of Iran is about to surge dramatically. If that happens, the cost of the war will keep climbing.
When we say more to come, it's more fighter squadrons, it's more capabilities, it's more defensive capabilities, and it's more bomber pulses more frequently. The amount of firepower over Iran and over Tehran is about to surge dramatically.
Second, the death toll. So far, 13 US soldiers have been killed and more than 140 have been wounded since the conflict began. On the other side, US Israeli strikes have now killed at least 202 children and 223 women across Iran, including 3 pregnant mothers, since the war began. Meanwhile, the fighting has expanded beyond Iran itself. There have been clashes in Lebanon, and Iranian drone and missile attacks have targeted US positions and allies across the Gulf. In neighboring Lebanon, the health ministry says Israeli attacks have killed at least 850 people, wounded more than 2,100, and forced over 830,000 people to flee their homes. Third, the economic impact at home. The Trump administration says the US economy will not be seriously harmed by the war. Hassett argued that the US is now one of the world's largest oil producers and therefore less vulnerable to energy shocks than it was decades ago. But markets remain nervous. That's because Iran has threatened shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway that carries about 20% of the world's oil supply. Any disruption there can quickly push global oil prices higher, and when oil prices rise, Americans feel it almost immediately at the gas stations and grocery stores. Fourth, the political cost. Inside Washington, lawmakers are increasingly questioning the purpose of the war. Critics say the administration's explanation for the conflict has kept changing. At first, officials said that the goal was to dismantle Iran's nuclear program. Then the focus shifted to weakening Iran's missile capabilities. More recently, the administration has talked about targeting Iran's oil infrastructure because of threats to shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. After a classified Senate briefing, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer warned about mission creep.
The answers are very unsatisfying. They have shifting goals, different goals all the time, different answers every day. And I am truly worried about mission creep. When there's no set plan, when you can't hear day after day, we're going to do this, 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 and this, and these are the reasons why, you end up with an endless war, you end up with mission creep, you end up with all kinds of problems.
And Senator Chris Van Hollen said the US had effectively taken the lid off Pandora's box without knowing where it will land.
Their rationales shift day to day. They have no end game, and they can't tell the American people what this is all about. This is making our country less safe. They've taken the lid off Pandora's box and unleashed forces that they have no plan to deal with.
Finally, the strategic cost. The war is also pushing some countries to look for their own solutions rather than relying on Washington. For example, India has begun negotiating directly with Iran to secure safe passage for its tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. France, Italy, Japan, Turkey are all negotiating with Tehran. That suggests some governments are trying to manage the crisis themselves instead of waiting for the US to resolve it. So yes, the US has already spent about $12 billion on the war with Iran, but the real price goes beyond the money. It includes lives lost, rising energy risks, political pressure in Washington, and growing uncertainty about where the conflict is heading. And as long as the war continues without a clear endgame, that price is only likely to rise.